Legendary Magic Johnson, who was honored today at the Legends Brunch.
I like that. I like that guy. Man, you don't have to show your ticket. You Magic Johnson.
Credentials. I don't need no stinking credentials.
Oh, that was funny. You're like, come on, man. Are you serious?
A Verizon VR 5G, the beginning of Verizon and the NBA using cool new tech to bring new experiences to the game.
There are some unique capabilities that 5G brings, like really big bandwidth and very low latency. And we wanted to show what we can do with 5G in the sports world.
So crazy to think that the signal is that fast that you're still able to move and react and interact with people and interact with things around you. I think it's pretty cool.
For us and the NBA, this is just the beginning of what we can do.
And we welcome you back. TNT NBA Tip-Off presented by Auto Trader outside Staples Center, where the All-Star Game will take place about an hour from now here on TNT. We're going to dedicate a pretty good chunk of this pregame show to something we're calling Sports and Society. It's a roundtable that was conducted just a few days ago here in Los Angeles. It features Dwyane Wade and Chris Paul. You'll also hear from Carmelo Anthony on the NBA side. Valerie Jarrett, a former Obama senior advisor. Alvin Herring from the Kellogg Foundation, and the roundtable moderated by CNN political commentator Angela Rye. Here it is.
Welcome to Sports and Society. This is a conversation today to help us understand the important role that athletes play in today's tumultuous society. So I want to just jump right in, Chris and Dwyane. A couple of years ago, you all had a really powerful moment on stage with Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James.
We stand here tonight accepting our role in uniting communities to be the change we need to see.
So when you think about that moment, how did you use it to work towards combating the issues that we're facing today and to challenging your peers?
You know, we just came together to talk about all the things that was going on in the world, to talk to our athletes about using this platform, about doing more in the community. So, you know, that was just kind of our voice, just to really talk to the athletes that was there and the athletes around the world. And that's just not professional athletes, it's everybody who has an inner athlete in themselves to do more.
So, Chris, with that, we know that activism in sports is not a new thing, whether you're talking about Muhammad Ali, the 1968 Olympics, Colin taking a knee. This is something that is, I think, close to the heart of many athletes. You get to a point where you have to speak up. What would you tell your fellow colleagues who aren't engaged in that work?
I think along with what Dee said, it's not what you have to do, it's what you want to do. You have to want to speak up, let your voice be heard.
So Valerie, you were a senior advisor in the Obama administration's White House as well. You're a senior advisor to the foundation. We know from all of the work that you all did that the president certainly understood the influence of athletes, and you all leveraged the influence of athletes for several initiatives. Can you talk to us about some of that?
Yeah, part of why I'm smiling, Angela, is just listening to Dee and Chris talk about their sense of social responsibility and recognizing that they have a very powerful platform and they want to use it to be a force for good. You can't do it if you don't care about the issue, and so what we want to do is to excite them into figuring out what can they do to help a young person, inspire them, not just to go into sports, but to be a better man, be a better human being. And as these guys know, as well as Alvin, President Obama created the My Brother's Keeper initiative while he was in the White House, and he's continuing it now. And athletes have been major players in addition to the NBA. Adam Silver has been terrifically supportive, and the whole point of My Brother's Keeper is to help our boys and young men of color get a fair shot. And we know that they're not getting that fair shot, but everyone around this table can help.
Alvin, you all have partnered with Dwyane and with Chris to do some very powerful initiatives, talking about race, dealing with having societal impact in communities. Can you talk about the importance of athletes having that kind of impact in communities all over the country?
What we decided to do about 10 years ago at the foundation is to really center all of our work on behalf of young people around this understanding of racial equity, what it means to look at the challenges that young people face through a lens that asks questions about systemic racism and through a lens that tries to provide answers that are also systemic in nature. And what these two great men have done is that they've decided to leverage their fame and their deep concern for young people to really, bring into communities all over the country, but specifically where they have presence, programs and initiatives that are really geared toward giving opportunity to young people that they wouldn't have otherwise. And that is certainly at the heart of an initiative that we're most proud about, which is our Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation Initiative. And we're also really working very hard, and this is something that Chris and Dwyane do so well, in encouraging people to step outside of wherever they are and get involved, engaged in working on behalf of their community.
What are some of the most tangible, specific actions you're taking right now to not only combat racism, systemic oppression, but also anything else that you're doing to just make the world better?
So in our Spotlight On campaign in Chicago, there was a kid named Tabuka Evans. He's a kid who was homeless, but he's just one of them kids that when you talk to him, you got inspired by his knowledge of the world, his knowledge of who he wanted to become, and it's like he already knew. I'm going to be this and I want to be this, but not having the resources and opportunity. So with our resources and opportunity, I got a chance to bring him to China and give him opportunity to sit in our design sessions, get him opportunity to sit at the table next to me and have feedback on the things that has been designed for me, give him opportunity to just go around the world with me. And I thought it was something that was very impactful for him. The letter that he left me, after that, I can tell that this is something that has changed his outlook on not only life, but on people that, he probably lost hope in people. And I felt like he picked that hope back up that someone really believes in.
I love that. One of the other things your foundation is doing is Pitch Black, which was a partnership with Harvard Business School. And I love that it's in response to all of the folks that talk about black-on-black crime in Chicago. You responded in a very impactful way that's solutions-oriented. Talk a little bit about Pitch Black and the importance of that work in Chicago.
Angela, that's just what it is. It's all about solutions. We can all talk about things, but we don't have solutions for them, then, it's no point. So I have an unbelievable relationship with Harvard and Harvard Business School, and got an opportunity to sit down with the African-American student body and talk about ways that we can bring different programmings. What can we bring to Chicago to kind of help the epidemic of violence that we're dealing with? And I thought it was great that our kids got opportunity from the Waysworth Foundation to go up there and really talk to the Pitch Black group about the city of Chicago, about the way they're growing up, about how they're growing up. And it wasn't just people from Harvard coming in giving us ideas. It was the kids going down there and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what this is what my brother, my sister, my cousin, this is what we see. And hopefully we can make a bigger difference in Chicago because of it. I encourage everyone to talk to these students to see how we all can work together.
Chris, we were talking earlier before we got up here about some of the work that you're doing because you want to not only bridge the digital divide, but really want to level the playing field. So talk about some of the things you're doing with Chris Paul Family Foundation.
What happened for me with my foundation was me and my wife were at a school, and we were going through the whole process trying to see if our kids was going to go to this school, and it was amazing. I seen these smart boards and these MacBook computers and these nice learning labs, and as we walked around, I couldn't help but get frustrated because I knew that kids on the other side of town weren't getting these same benefits. And so that day, I remember getting in the car and I called my team that I'm blessed and fortunate to have that work for me, and I said, we're changing everything. We're changing everything. Everything that we're going to do now is about leveling the playing field. So we've had an opportunity to go in some of these underserved communities, and big thanks to the Kellogg Foundation, and we're going to continue to do work, but it's all about leveling the playing field.
Carmelo Anthony wanted to lend his voice to this discussion. Here's his take on athletes using their voices.
From my perspective, I think the key to change is just keeping the awareness, keeping the pressure on the powers that be, keeping the matters that's important at the forefront of people's minds, and not letting the events and tragedies and things that happen in our country and in the rest of the world kind of overshadow the smaller communities.
Coming up, we talk about athletes speaking out on social media.
I love the fact that you can have this voice and you can express yourself.
So sports and society will continue after we take this break. Team photo.